So we'll start with our topic that is the insurance and risk management. Earlier we have discussed like how the risk management is working in the banking sector. Today we'll take up the topic that is the insurance and risk management. Insurance itself depicts that we are going to insure our risk. That means we are covering the risk. Okay, but how the risk is being managed, since the company is being involved with the other person, they have a contract with them, like how they are going to deal with the risk which is being there in the contracts that are being there, either it is fire, marine, or life insurance. Okay, so I'll explain. Just a second. Okay. So coming on to this, like insurance itself means that the risk, what are the types of risks in insurance? The term risk mean like what type of risk we are covering in insurance is a chance something harmful or unexpected could happen. Harmful, it could be you can say a dangerous to you, like it may be something harmful like a fire, marine, some time of a loss, or unexpected, like you haven't expected that thing but that thing has happened and because of that you have suffered some loss. So this might involve the loss that is including like theft will be there, damage of valuable property and belongings will be there. So it causes you can say basically it hampers the uh, parties which are being involved, the one who is being insured. You have suffered some type of a loss, either it may be your personal loss, or that may be that you have got yourself insured for your organization and that organization has been suffered a loss. So the risk of being killed into an auto accident is present because uncertainty is present. You are not certain like that type of accident will happen, or what will be the, you can see the severity of that risk. So that is why you get yourself insured. So risk basically means that uncertainty is there of the occurrence, like you are not it's not something that is sure that is going to happen. You can't predict it. It is basically that we take into only a provision. Okay, if something like this happens then we can get ourselves insured. So it is basically that you are uh, getting yourself provision of you are providing yourself with any type of a loss, you are covering yourself for that loss. So it is a condition when there is a possibility of adverse deviations from the desired outcome. That means your outcome that you have depicted is something else, but because of the occurrence of that event you have suffered a loss. So that is known as the uncertainty, or you can say that the possibility of an adverse deviation, like means you are not expected that thing and this thing has happened. Now there are various types of risk that are being there. We classify them into two headings. That first one is the objective risk and the second one is known as the subjective risk. So what is the objective risk? Objective risk is defined as a relative variation of actual loss from the expected loss. Like you have basically there is a relative variation of actual loss from the expected loss. Like how it is called a degree of risk. So it varies. How it varies? Objective risk are declines as the number of exposure increases. As the exposure increases, this risk start decreasing. How? I can give you an example. Suppose you have get yourself insured for something. You can take an example of this how fire loss. Okay, suppose there is a provision we have taken. Okay, out of 1000 houses, every year 10 houses are under the influence of fire. So our you can say frequency or that probability chances are very less. Suppose we increase our area. Earlier we are taking 1000 houses, now if we take 10,000 houses, so obviously that percentage is going to decrease. वो percentage कम हो जाएगा as we are going to increase the number of you can say the factors number of houses under the that thing. Okay, then comes the subjective risk. So the subjective risk means that there is a difference between uncertainty based on person mental condition or a state of mind. Okay, so that is the objective risk. It basically depend upon the individual, like how he perceive that risk and how he feel. Okay, like suppose there are two person. The one person, he feels, okay, if I am drunk and if I go outside, I have a previous experience, then the police can caught me and I'll be in a mess, or you can say I'll be in a trouble. Okay, but other person have a okay, under a suspense, okay, let it be. I haven't never been caught. Okay, if what it will be, I'll pay some fine and I can drive home by myself even if I'm drunk. So this is basically that there is a, you can say, there is a difference of the to individual, like how they perceive that situation. So this is known as the subjective risk. So as the, you can say, high subjective risk, like means the person who is very conscious and who has a previous experience that it become a trouble for me if I have been caught by the police. So that person will be more, you can say, conservative and prudent behavior. Conservative means that he will not try to caught in such situation, so he will avoid that situation. He will either hire a taxi or something and will reach his home. So that is the difference between the objective risk as well as the subjective risk. Okay. Now coming on to the next, that is the peril. So what is the peril? It means it is the cause of the loss, like why the loss is being there. So if your house burns by a fire, so the peril is the fire. Means what is the reason why this loss is being there? So the reason is the fire. So it is peril, in this case is fire. If your car is damaged by a collision, so that means your peril is the, obviously, that accident because of which that thing has happened. So the peril may be fire, lighting, windstorm, theft, or you can say any loss. The reason of the loss is known as the peril. Okay. Now coming on to the hazard. What is a hazard? Hazard is a condition that creates or increase the frequency or severity of a loss. That means the loss will be there, but it increases the severity of that loss. Okay. It is basically a condition because of which the frequency or the severity of the loss has increased. Like how there are 4 types of hazard that are being here. The first one that is there is a physical hazard. So what is a physical hazard mean? A physical condition that increases the frequency of a loss. How? I have given you an example. Example like icy roads. So that increase the chances of accident. So defective wiring in a building, that increase the chances of a fire. So these are basically the physical hazard, because of which that risk has increased and its impact has also increased. So this is known as the physical hazard. Okay. I hope it is clear. Is it clear? Okay, moving on to the next, that is our moral hazard. So moral hazard is a dishonesty or a character deficits in an individual that increase the frequency. Okay, how it is? Like example, it may be like faking an accident to collect the insurance. You may not have that impact with that accident, but you perceive, okay, you depict that it is have a various impact on you. So it is like faking an you can fake an accident, and because of that, that is a submitting a fraudulent claim. Okay, your car may have been into an you can say an accident which has a minor impact, but you show, okay, it's a major impact on me. So that is a basically a moral hazard. Okay, so this is caused by basically, you can say, dishonest individuals who basically want to claim the money from insurance. So they and act you can say they enter into these types of acts. Okay, then coming on to the attitudinal hazard. So it is basically a type of a moral hazard only, but it is caused by the careless or indifference to loss, which causes the loss. Like you may leave your car keys in an in car itself and the car get stolen. So it is basically your negligence which has and which has basically caused an loss to you. Then there are chances that you left the keys with your home. You you forgot to lock your home. So that is a negligence on your part, because of which that risk is being there and you have suffered a loss because of that. That is known as the moral hazard. Okay. Then coming on to the next, that is basically the legal hazard. So the legal hazard means that the legal system or regulatory environment that increase the frequency or severity of a loss. How? Like it include adverse jury or a large damage awards in liability. How? Like the status that require insurance to cover for certain benefits like in a health insurance plan and all that. So these are basically the type of risk, or you can say which under the various heading, I've told you what type of risks are being involved and which are being insured, and how, what are the various factors that cause the losses, and how is the hazard and the peril. So I told you the basic definition so that we can know like what type of a risk is being managed in an insurance. So you need to understand like what are the types of the risks which are being there in a insurance contract. Now you need to classify the risk. So basically the classification is somewhat similar what we have read, but we read these risk under the heading of the insurance with context to insurance, like how they cover, what are the things which come under the heading of these risks, okay, in insurance. So the first risk that is there is a pure risk. So the pure risk, as I told you, is basically a risk where there is a possibility of loss and loss only. So there is no or you can say no gain that you are going to have from that. So it may be like a premature death, job related accident, or you can say fire accident. So these are basically the pure risk because of which you are going to suffer a loss only. Okay. Then comes the speculation risk. It is defined as a situation in which either a loss or profit is possible. Example, increase investing in a share market. Okay, if the prices increase, so that is basically a speculation risk, as you all know. So horse racing. So these are the examples. So as I told you, what is the difference? It is clear that a pure risk is generally insurable because you have to get yourself insured, because there is no chance that you will achieve any gain out of it. It will only and only lead to a loss to you. So that is why you need to get insured for this. So what are the types of the risk which are being covered? That are basically the pure risk. So the speculative risks are not being insured. Okay. So large number can be applied more easily to pure risk than the speculative risk. So it is basically how the pure risks are being covered in the insurance. It is being explained to you. And then come the speculation risk. That is because of the speculation that either you can earn a profit or a loss, but you can't get it yourself insured for it. Okay. So this is known as the speculation risk. Now coming on to the next, that is the fundamental risk and the particular risk. So what is the fundamental risk or the particular risk in this? Just a second. Okay, fundamental risk is a risk that affect the entire economy or large number of people within the economy on a macro basis. So basically the coverage is macro in this thing. The effect most of the social segment, because it is something which is impacted, has a large scale, on a large scale, like earthquake, war. These are the situation where the impact is on a large economy. Okay, so that are the fundamental risk. Because once the earthquake is there, so it will obviously not impacted only one or twice two person. It is something which has impacted a particular area in that. So that is known as a fundamental risk. The coming on to the next, that is the particular risk. So what is the particular risk means? That is basically limited to a small group of a people. Okay, like theft, robbery, fire. So this is something which is related to you, or which is you can say you come under the coverage in a small group only. So these are basically insurable. Okay, so this risk differ in the nature. Example, social insurance program may be undertaken by government to handle the fundamental risk, and fire insurance policy may be bought by an individual to protect against the fire risk. So what is a social insurance program? So it has a more coverage. So no more people will be covered under this. As well as for the particular risk, only one person need to get insured. So he will get a policy for that, like a fire insurance. So that is why they differ. Like for a group of people, if something happen like a social insurance, so it is not limited to one person. It is basically taken up for a group of people. So that is the you can say this risk. Okay. Now, particular risk as well as this risk I have covered. Now I'm left with static and the dynamic risk. So what is a static? Static itself means which is being, you can say, which is not going to change. Dynamic is according to changing to the conditions. So dynamic means the resulting from the changes in the economy or because of the change in the environment, like inflation, income. These are something which are beyond your control and they change because of the impact overall. Okay, so they are difficult to anticipate and quantify. Okay, this is known as the financial loss. So obviously it will be concerned with the financial loss only. So they affect the society as a whole. Suppose if there is an inflation, obviously it will not impact one organization or two organization. It will have an impact on the entire industry. So that is known as the dynamic risk. Now coming on to the static risk, mean it is less predictable and not affected by the economic condition. You can obviously predict this thing. So it is not affected by economic condition. It is basically the result, you can say, because of the destruction of an asset or change in its possession is known as the static risk. Okay, example I have given, like loss in business, unemployment after undergoing professional qualification. So these are the things which are coming under the static risk, for which there is the impact is 1 or 2% on that only. So that loss, or you can say that loss, it can be get covered. You can more or less can predict to it. So this is known as the static risk. Okay, just a second. Let me have what? Just a second. Okay. Now coming on to the next, that is the enterprise risk. So what is the enterprise risk? It is where all the major risks are faced by company or a firm. Okay. Enterprise risk is term that encompasses all major risks faced by the business firm. So it includes pure risk. It include your, you can say, speculative risk. So these comes under the heading of enterprise risk. That is the risk which are faced by your company or a firm. Okay. So strategic risk refers to the uncertainty regarding the firm's financial goals. So enterprise risk and the differences being there. Okay, so what are the types of the risk which come under this heading? The first is the strategic risk. It refers to uncertainty regarding the firm's financial goal. So if a firm enters a new line of a business, so you need to get itself under the heading of a strategic risk, because you have basically diversify your business. So that is why a risk is being there. Either you can end up with the losses or you can gain profits. So the operation risk, that is because you can say the bank, if you can see the example, the bank that offer online banking services may incur losses if hackers break into the bank's computer. So that is a very general definition which is being, you can say, example which we, most of the people we know about this, the frauds that are taking because of the internet thing. So that is come under the headings of the operation risk, because they comes for the business operations. Now coming on to the financial risk. Financial risk respond to the uncertainty of loss because of adverse changes in the commodity price. So that come under the heading of the financial risk. Example, a food company that agrees to deliver cereal at a fixed price to a supermarket in 6 months may lose money if grain prices rise. You may have entered into a contract with someone that, okay, I'm going to deliver this product at a certain price, but if the prices of the grain, that grain has increased, so obviously you will incur losses for that. So this come under the heading of the enterprise risk. Coming on to the next, that is the financial and the non-financial risk. So as the name itself depicts, like financial loss, so it terms as financial risk refers to the uncertainty of loss because of adverse changes in the prices, interest rate, and value of money. That is basically of the financial nature. Whereas a possibility of financial loss does not exist, that comes under the non-financial. Example, risk in the selection of a career, risk in the choice of a study. So that are non-financial. Now, what are the type of a risk which are being insured? As I told you, these are the various types of a risk. Now, what are the types of the risk which we can cover? As I told you, we only and only get ourselves insured for the pure risk because it leads us to the losses only. So pure risk are basically insured one. Now under the pure risk, there are various types of the risk. I'll explain each thing. And the first loss that is there is the personal risk, means the risk that directly affect an individual. Okay. So it has an impact on that individual. They involve the possibility of the complete loss, or you can say the reduction of the earned income. So basically it has an impact on your income. So that comes under the heading of a personal risk. Now, what are the four major types of the personal risk? The first one is a risk of a premature death. So what is a premature death over means here? Like a premature death is referred as the death of the household head, means the one who is earning in the earning member in the family. If the death of that person, okay, is come under the heading of the premature death. If the surviving family member receive an insufficient amount of replacement from other sources, so that comes under this. Premature death can cause financial problem only if the deceased has dependent to support. So the death of a, that means if there is a death of an earning member in the family and no one is there to take care of that family, now if you can say the risk coverage is not enough that they can get that amount, so that they become under the and don't come under any financial stress, so that come under the head of a risk of a premature death. Because of that they have suffered loss, so their earning is being hampered. That comes under the heading of a risk of a premature death. Now, the next that is there is a risk of insufficient income during retirement. So the insufficient income during retirement means the risk of not having sufficient income at the time of retirement, so that there is a possibility that individual may not be able to earn the livelihood. So what does it mean? That when one retires, his earned income, unless he has certain financial asset, like either you have some pension plan or something, so that is okay. But if you don't have, that come under the heading of the insufficient income during the retirement. Now coming on to the risk of a poor health. What does poor health mean? Disability of a person to earn the means of survival, means the person who is being involved is not able to earn enough. Now like losing of a legs due to an accident, heart injury, these come under the heading of a risk of a poor health. So the person has adequate health insurance or something, so it will be basically compensated. The loss of insecurity or the disability is severe. In case of long-term disability, things will become worse, obviously, because the earning member health is, if it is being hampered, so it will lead to the losses to the other members also. Now coming next, that is a risk of unemployment. So it unemployment basically result from the business cycle. Okay, there may be a recession in the economy, so that is why this risk is being there. Or you may say that some technology is being advanced, so you are not compensating, you are not one who is having that technological upgradation, so you may have lose your employment because of that. So they come basically under the heading of the risk of unemployment. Being temporary employees, worker lose their employee benefit unless there is adequate replacement income or past saving. Like either you have a past saving, or you may say that you have a replacement income, like some other family member is earning enough to take care of the family responsibility. So these are the risks which come under the heading of the personal risk. Now, what is the property risk? Property. So it refers to the risk that is having a property damage or the loss because of the fire, earthquake. So these come under the heading of the property. Something that has lead to the losses to your property because of earthquake, fire, theft, that come under these headings. So there are majorly two types of losses. The first one is a direct loss, that is the financial loss that result from the physical damage. Like suppose if there is a you can say fire incident, so the company will be obviously impacted. So it is a direct loss because which has lead to the loss to your company. So this is a type of a direct loss. Now indirect loss means that there is no financial loss, but it leads to the occurrence, like apart from the financial loss which is become there. Suppose if your company has faced a fire incident or a fire is there, so the production will be stopped. So it will need extra, you can say, you need extra money to rebuild your company, to start with your operation. So that type of a loss come under the heading of the indirect losses. Now next is, that is, there is the liability risk, the risk arising out of unintentional injury to the person or damage to their property through negligence or carelessness. So liability risk generally arise from the law, because like liability of an employer under the workmen's compensation. So these are basically the laws which everyone who is facing, who is there in the industry, will have to be there, and they need to cover all these risks. Okay, that is a legal obligation for that. Now, what are the basically the method under which we can cover the pure risk? So whatsoever is covered, is it clear to you all?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Rajesh. What about other? Is it clear? I have
Yes,
given
ma'am.
you, okay, I have given you the earlier PDFs which I have given to, I think, Vishali ma'am. So might be ma'am have shared, and I have also given you the assignments also. So one more assignment will be there. Okay. And with this, like insurance, after that insurance, we will cover various types of the strategies. And after that, we will cover the enterprise resource management. Okay. Now coming on to the various methods of handling pure risk, the first thing that is there is avoidance. See, there are various techniques by which we can control the risk, how we can handle the pure risk. The first is the risk for the circumstances which may lead to the losses, and one method of handling it is like one can avoid the risk of death or disability in a plane crash by how, I mean, it's an example that they refuse to fly, but it is not possible to avoid the risk, you can say. So avoidance here means like you can avoid the risk. How? Like if you avoid plane, you have to drive yourself, which are also not appealing losses. So this is given like you can avoid the loss, but in a pure risk, there is nothing like a sense of a pure, you can say, avoid a risk. It is basically you can control it, but you can't avoid it completely. The fire risk can be avoided by taking the precautionary measures. No, it can only be controlled. You can't avoid it. You can't give a chance, okay, there will be no loss or there will be no fire incident. No, there is no such thing. The only thing is that we can control it. Okay, so the avoidance, they have given you a one definite example, like there are chances, okay, if you fly by air, there are chances that the plane may crash, so then you will be taking a car. But what is the I mean, there is no chance, okay, that the car may not be hit by an accident. It may be an accident over there, so you can't avoid the risk. It is basically that you can control the risk. Now, how come the controlling the risk, the loss control? It is another method of handling the risk. Loss control consists of certain activities that reduces the frequency and severity of the loss. How? There are control has two major objectives. Like whenever you have a loss control techniques, or you can say you are employing that, what are those two objectives? The first one is a loss prevention. Like it aims at reducing the probability of loss. You can't say that, okay, there will be no loss, but you are going to basically reduce the probability of that loss, so that the frequency is being minimized. Okay, like if I give you like one example is being there, like number of heart attacks can be reduced if individual reduce their weight, or he can say, you can say, if we follow a regular health checkup. So it is basically a loss prevention. Same in case of a, you can say, a fire incident, what will be there? We will employ more and more safety measures. So that is basically, you can say, loss prevention technique. Now second comes the loss reduction. What is a loss reduction over means? That the strict loss prevention can reduce the frequency of loss. Some losses will be inevitable to occur. How? Like the second objective of loss is to reduce the severity. Example, keeping firefighting equipment will reduce the severity. That means you can reduce the severe. Like how severe the suppose you are in an organization, आपने वहां पे कुछ भी फायर इक्विपमेंट्स नहीं लगाए, तो अगर फायर इंसिडेंट होगा तो बहुत ज्यादा लॉस होगा. बट इन केस कुछ फायर इक्विपमेंट्स आपके पास थे, अवेलेबल थे, तो क्या हुआ, वो रिडक्शन हुआ लॉस का, बिकॉज सीवियर नहीं होगा, होगा लॉस, बट इतना ज्यादा इम्पैक्ट नहीं होगा. सो यू आर बेसिकली रिड्यूसिंग द इम्पैक्ट ऑफ दैट. Okay, that comes under the heading of the loss reduction. Now, next is the risk retention. What does risk retention means? That individual or a business firm retain all risk retention is like sometimes the risk we take, okay, this is the type of a risk which will be there, but it is not possible to cover that, or you can say कि उसका impact इतना ज्यादा नहीं होने वाला, loss इतना ज्यादा नहीं होने वाला. अब उससे ज्यादा तो अगर हम उसका कोई वो लेंगे, क्लेम लेंगे, वो ज्यादा होता है, तो हम क्या करते हैं, वो रिस्क को रिटेन करते हैं. वी ट्राई टू टेक रिटेंशन ऑफ दैट बुक. लाइक एग्जांपल इज गिवन, एक ट्रांसपोर्ट कंपनी हैज द रिस्क कि ऑयल की प्राइसेस बढ़ जाएंगी, but even then what it can, this is the risk which is being retained within them. Okay, so in general risk retention is appropriate for low severity risk. मैंने क्या बोला, लो, उसका इम्पैक्ट जो होता है बहुत लो होता है, इसीलिए हम वो रिस्क को रिटेन करते हैं. So you can say it's a part of a risk retention. So the risk retention are also can be divided as an active or a passive. What does active mean? Active name से ही पता चला ना. Active means that individual is consciously aware of the risk and deliberately plan to retain it. उसको पता है कि ये लॉस होने वाला है या ये लॉस इस चीज में है, but he deliberately plan, okay, let it be, I'll take that risk. So that is come under the heading of a active retention. Now the second thing that is there is a passive retention. That means the risk may be unknowingly retained because of ignorance. You are not aware about of that risk, or you may say you have a indifferent, like indifference here means that you have perceived like this will be a low impact. So you, but that may be because you have can't predict it in a very advanced. So that is the thing, that is the risk retention. Now there are non-insurable transfer. What is a risk can be transferred by the contract? Kaise? The risk of a defective computers can be transferred to the service provider. हम लोग लेते हैं ना सर्विस प्रोवाइडर का एक कॉन्ट्रैक्ट साइन कर लेते हैं, any loss will be covered by that company. So that comes under the, you have basically transferred your risk. So the risk will be borne by the computer company only. So the risk of price increase in the contractual material can be transferred to the building by having a fixed price of a contract. You have fixed the price, and in case the price is increased, the loss will be borne by the builder only. So these are the risks where the risk is, we have basically transferred our risk to the other party. So this is known as the transferring the risk. Then coming the hedging price risk. What does the hedging price risk mean? The technique of transferring the risk of unfavorable price fluctuation to a speculator by purchasing, or you can say selling the forward contract on an organized exchange. So these contracts can be used to hedge the risk. Hedging का basic purpose ये होता है कि risk को cover करना है. Now, incorporation of business firm. If a firm is a sole proprietor, so it can be attached by the creditor for satisfaction of a debt. Like उसकी जो personal asset होगी, in case there is a credit, वहां पे उसका कुछ बिजनेस फेलियर हो गया, तो उसकी जो पर्सनल प्रॉपर्टी होती है वो हम यूज करते हैं ना रिस्क कवर करने के लिए, लाइक बेसिकली लॉसेस कवर करने के लिए. तो दैट इज नोन एज द नॉन, यू कैन से यू हैव ट्रांसफर द बिजनेस लॉस टू द property of the personal property of that person. Now other comes, last heading that comes is the insurance. Now if we try to avoid contract and prevent, still the risk will exist. You try to control the things, you try to prevent the thing, but still there is something which is being there. So that comes under the heading of the insurance. So the most practical method of facing any major risk is the insurance. So the risk is transferred to the insurer. The basic objective, what is the objective of taking an insurance, is to transfer the risk from person to the insurance company which has similar risk. So it comes under the heading of the insurance. So till now, is it clear? Is it clear? So now we have basically covered the types of the risk, how the risks are being, various techniques are there, like how these things can be controlled. Okay. Now the other thing that is there is like how these are the methods of basically handling the pure risk. So we know that we have been basically getting insured ourselves to the pure risk only, and we are not getting our self-insured for the speculation risk. So this comes under the heading of the pure risk only. So now we have to cover like the risk management. So Suraj, Rajesh, is it clear? Pooja, Neelam.
Yes, ma'am, clear.
Okay, fine. So now we will move on to the risk management. We have basically understand like what is the risk management. Now how it works in the insurance sector, we have to cover that. So the risk management, as we know, it's the process of evaluating the risk faced by a firm, or you can say an individual, then minimizing the cost which is involved with that risk. So this comes under the risk management only. As I told you, you can't avoid, you can only decrease the severity of that loss. So the risk comes it two types of a cost. The first is a cost which will be incurred if potential loss becomes an actual loss, like that there is some type of a loss which is inherent in that, and that has actually turned into the loss. So that is the thing. So the first is the cost that will be incurred if a potential loss becomes an actual loss. So like cost of rebuilding an assembly plant that burns due to the fire. Okay, so that comes under that heading. There is an inherent loss. Okay, कि हाँ फायर इंसिडेंट हुआ तो लॉस होने वाला है, उसकी वजह से आपने जितना उसको परसीव किया था उसकी वजह से अगर एक्चुअल लॉस हुआ है पोटेंशियल लॉस की वजह से, दैट मीन्स देयर आर द चांसेस कि ये लॉस हो सकता है, और वो एक्चुअल में हुआ उसकी वजह से जो लॉस होने वाला है, दैट कम्स अंडर दिस. Then the second type consists of the cost of reducing the the second type consists of the cost of reducing or eliminating the potential loss. Like here we include the cost of purchasing insurance against loss by fire. Like fire insurance लेते हैं हम, theft insurance लेते हैं, they come under this this heading. That is the risk management. So this is how a risk is being managed in the insurance company. Now, what are the objectives? Like why this risk management is important for it? So the objective can be classified as a pre-loss objective and the post-loss objective. So the pre-loss objective means important objective because before a loss occurs include economy, reduction of anxiety, and meeting the legal obligation. So these are the pre-loss objective, like we perceive. Okay, so these objective means that the firm should prepare for the potential loss in the most economical way. So this is what we have been prepared ourselves for this loss. So the preparation involves analysis of the cost of safety program, insurance premium. So all these things are pre-calculated. The second objective is the reduction of anxiety. So that means a certain loss exposure can cause greater worry and fear. So that is being reduced with this pre-loss objectives. Now, what is this? Like you can say the threat of a cost of habits lawsuit because of a defective product can cause greater anxiety than a small loss for a minor fire. So this is basically an example. Now coming on to the post-loss objective. What are the post-loss objective means? That certain management, risk management has certain objective after a loss occurs. These objectives include survival of the firm, continue operations, stability, social responsibility. So the most important post-loss objective is survival, like how you are going to survive, because your firm has already incurred some losses. Now how you are going to survive those losses. So the survival means that a loss occurs and the firm can resume at least partial operations within some reasonable time period. Okay, so you will be able to fulfill some operations only, and you are not covering all the operations which you are doing earlier. So the second post-loss objective is to continue operating. So that comes under the post-loss. The pre-loss में क्या है and post-loss में क्या है. Now this is the risk management process which is there. The first thing that we have to do in the risk management is identify the loss exposure. कितना exposure है,
and measure and analyze the loss exposure. Then select the appropriate combination of techniques for treating the loss exposure. And the last is implement and monitor. The last important is like you have to monitor like what you have implemented. Is it good enough, or you need to have some other types of techniques, or you need to have more coverage for that. Now, the first thing that is there is identify the loss exposure. The first step that comes is like you need to first step in risk management is to identify major and minor loss exposure. Like what are the major and what are the minor exposure? The step involves a painstaking review. Like first, what important loss exposure include? Like first, you need to do the property loss exposure. Banking, stationery, furniture, equipment, these come under the property exposure. Then is the liability loss exposure, means defective products, environmental pollution. So these comes under the heading. So these are basically the various headings that are given for you to cover, like what are the things which come under the major heading and what are the things that come under the minor heading. You need to find out those things. Then comes the business income loss exposure, that is loss of income from a covered loss. Then continue expenses after a loss. So these are basically the various headings. Now human resources loss exposure. So these comes under this heading. Now, if you can see, a risk manager can use several types of information to identify the loss exposure. They include the following. First, risk analysis questionnaire and checklist. They may prepare this. Then they can do the physical inspection. They can go into the field and they can inspect like what is the type of the risk. This is very much into trend like physical inspection. Then come the flow chart. In addition, risk management must keep at least, you can say, abreast of industry trends and market changes that can create a new loss exposure. I mean, what are the new things that can come and they can impact your. Then the major risk management insurance include raising the worker compensation, effect of merger. So these are the basically the facts which you covered under these things. Now, first you have covered, like you have identified like what are the types of the loss. Then you have see the severity, like either it is a major loss for you or it's a minor loss too. Now the second step is to measure and analyze the loss exposure. Now you have to measure and analyze the how much it impacted you. Now the second step, it is important to measure the loss exposure in order to manage them properly. Once you have measured the things and analyze, okay, how much exposure is there or how much impact is there, only then you will be able to understand. So the estimation of frequency or severity of loss. So the loss frequency means probable number of losses that may occur during some given time period. एक साल में ये कितनी बार होता है, फायर इंसिडेंट्स कितनी बार हो रहा है, या you can say anything like that, you come under this heading. Now select the appropriate compensation technique. That means you have to basically understand like this is the loss that is there. Now you have analyzed their impact. Now you need to find out the various techniques that can be used to treat that loss. So there can be two types of the risk techniques. The first is the risk control and second is the risk finances. Now, what is the risk control means? Risk control means the technique that reduces the frequency of that loss. You are basically reducing the frequency. Okay, so risk control in general describe the techniques for reducing that frequency या severity, उसका impact आप कम कर रहे हो कैसे. Avoidance, loss prevention and loss reduction come under this heading. Avoidance means a certain loss exposure is never acquired or undertaken. Like the major advantage of avoidance is that the chance of loss is reduced to zero. Suppose some project which are very risky, you don't take into that. So that comes under the heading of the avoidance. Then is the loss prevention, refers to the measure that reduce the frequency of a particular loss. So you basically reduce that loss. That frequency is being reduced. Now the last that is there is the loss reduction. Loss reduction refers to the measure that reduce the severity of that loss. So these three comes under the risk control. These are basically the risk control technique that are being employed. Now the second is a risk financing. Risk financing refer to the technique that provide a payment for the loss after they have occurred. That loss is being there. Now you are going to finance for that loss. So the major risk technique can be like retention, non-insurable transfer, or insurance. So retention means you have basically retained that loss with you because, okay, so that firm, you can say, retain a part of that loss that can result from a given loss. So retention can be active or passive, as I told you. Active bhi ho sakta hai, passive bhi ho sakta hai. Then come non-insurable transfer. Non-insurable transfers mean that the risk is transferred to a party other than the insurance company. Okay, insurance company के अलावा हम किसी को pass on करते हैं. You can say transfer of a risk by contract, जैसे मैंने बोला कंप्यूटर का contract होता है, या hedging का होता है, या incorporation of a business firm, जो sole proprietor होता है उसकी personal property को हम use कर लेते हैं loss cover करने के लिए. So these are basically the non-insurable transfer. Now then comes the insurance. So commercial insurance is also known as a risk management program. So insurance for loss exposure have a low probability of loss, but the severity is high. ठीक है, उसका probability तो कम है कि वो loss होगा, but उसका severity means उसका impact बहुत ज्यादा है. So what you have to do, 5 areas which you need to work on is selection of an insurance coverage. कितना आपका insurance का coverage रहेगा. Then is selection of an insurer, किस insurer से आपको वो लेना है. Then negotiation of the terms, you can negotiate on the basis of the premium and all that stuff. Then dissemination of information concerning insurance coverage, कितना insurance का coverage आपको चाहिए, and the periodic review of the insurance program. I hope till now it is clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. Okay, let me have just water, then I'll proceed. Just a second. Okay. Now, as I told you that there are 5 key terms, you can say the 5 key factors that are being there for which the insurance coverage is being there. Okay. So what you do is like you insurance coverage, selection of an insurer, negotiation of terms. So these are the things which we take into consideration. Now moving on to the last, that is there is implementing and monitoring the risk management program. Okay, so you need to basically implement and monitor the risk management program. So this system begins with the policy statement. A risk management policy statement is like effective risk management program. The statement outline the risk management objective, क्या objective था, किसके लिए आपने लिया है वो, as well as the company policy with risk, how it is being treated, and it educates top level executive in risk basically regarding the process क्या था, उसका importance क्या था, authority किसके पास थी, standard क्या जज हुए थे. So this is how the risk management program work. ठीक है, अभी हमने इसमें कवर कर लिया इंश्योरेंस में कि हमने क्या क्या चीजें ली हैं. फर्स्ट थिंग, okay, so we have basically taken the step in the risk management process. So we have covered under this thing all the 4 steps I have explained you. Okay, now we move on to the second topic. Now we have seen the process, we have seen the types of the risk, we have seen like what type of a risk can be insured. Now comes like what are the benefits of the risk management. We see like how the impact will be there, either we can control it, either we can retain it. Now comes the topic like what is the benefits of a risk management. So the benefits of the risk management, the first one is the formal risk management program enables a firm to attain its pre-loss and post-loss objective more easily.
लाइक यू हैव सेटअप कि मेरा प्री ऑब्जेक्टिव ये था एंड पोस्ट लॉस ऑब्जेक्टिव मेरा ये था, आपको वो अचीव करने के लिए ऑब्वियसली इफ यू हैव अ प्रॉपर रिस्क मैनेजमेंट टेक्निक सो इट विल हेल्प यू आउट. Then the cost of risk is reduced, which may increase the company's profit. So the cost is basically reduced. If you have not got yourself insured for a fire, or you can say some time of a theft loss, and if that thing is there, suppose you are in a jewelry business and you have not get yourself insured, and if there is a theft chances are there, and if that occur, what will happen? It will lead to a loss to you. But if you are being insured, so it will basically not impact you and your company's profit will not be impacted. So the cost of risk is a risk management tool that measures certain costs. So these costs include premium kitna pay kiya, retain kitna loss kiya, kitna loss control pe expenditure kiya. So these comes under the cost. Now, beside the adverse financial impact of pure loss exposure is reduced, a firm may be able to implement एंटरप्राइज रिस्क मैनेजमेंट प्रोग्राम दैट डील्स बोथ प्योर एंड स्पेकुलेटिव रिस्क. ठीक है, तो हम एक ऐसा प्रोग्राम लेके आ सकते हैं जिससे हम दोनों तरह के रिस्क को इंश्योर कर सकते हैं, दोनों तरह के रिस्क को कवर कर सकते हैं. लास्ट इज लाइक सोसाइटी ऑल्सो बेनिफिट अराइज बोथ डायरेक्ट एंड इनडायरेक्ट. एज अ रिजल्ट पेन सफरिंग आर reduced. It is a clear that risk managers are extremely important to the financial success of a business firm. So this is, you can say, the importance of the risk management, because if the risk coverage is there, so if the like various type of insurance schemes are being provided to the workers, so if some incident happens, so if the sole bread earning member has died, so the company will be providing some type of insurance. Okay, some amount will be given to the family member, so it will basically, you can say, make them somewhat secure for the future, so they will not consider it a very hazardous for that thing. Okay, so these are basically, you can say, the benefits of the risk management program, because of which we take the risk management. So we have earlier covered the banking sector, now we will cover the insurance. After that we will cover with the this enterprise and the various techniques. I hope it is clear. So importance, we will cover like insurance as a tool of risk management, like how an insurance is being covered, how insurance help to cover various types of the risk. So we will cover these things, and there are various steps in the personal risk management also, and classification of a risk. This is also very important, like you need to know what comes under which heading. Okay, so we will cover all these things. In my next lecture I will take these things. Okay, till now if you have any problem you can ask me. The earlier PDF that I have shared with ma'am, is it being given to you people, or it's being uploaded in the group? I mean, your, I think everything is being uploaded on your website now. So all those PDFs I have given to ma'am, and this PDF I'll complete, and then I'll give the PDF to ma'am so that she can share with you. Now, okay, insurance as a risk management tool. So this is a topic which is somewhat lengthy, so I think I should take it in the next lecture. So I can brief you like what are the types of things which I'll take in my next lecture. The first thing that will be there is a classification insurance. So the there are various types of insurance we have heard of: life insurance, fire insurance, marine insurance. So there are various headings, like some come under the heading of a life insurance, some come under the heading of a general insurance. And what are the various clause? Indemnity clause kya hota hai, payment loss kya hota hai, we need to understand that. And you can say there is basically a difference between a life insurance and a non-life insurance. If you can, I can explain you in a one-liner. It is like you can't compensate any person for the loss of a life. Life का loss आप कभी भी किसी को cover नहीं करते. You basically indemnify that so that some type of a future, you can say, compensation आप उसे provide कर सकते हो. You can't indemnify that. So then comes, you can say what are the various contracts. See, basically insurance is a contract where two parties are being involved. First one is the insurer and the second one is the insured. So the insurer is the one who provide you with the insurance and give you the various benefits which you will get from the insurance, and the insured is the one whose loss is being compensated. So it is basically a contract. So it should be a valid contract. That means it should be something which have a particular of the contracts which should be there, like it should be taken into the utmost faith. As I told you कि आपको utmost faith means like everything which is very important for both the parties should be disclosed. There should not be something which is not being disclosed to the other party. So these are the things. And then comes the various types of the classification of the contracts, like what are the types of the commercial contracts, contractual. So these are the types of the insurance contract also. So I'll take this in my lecture, and it will be a very brief. Okay, you just need to understand the basic concept. You should not need to understand it in a very depth, because this is just to give you a brief idea like how insurance is being, risk management is being working over there in the insurance sector. Now insurable interest is the one which is being insured. Okay, अभी किसी का insurable interest ही आप insure करते हो, like in life insurance, the presence of insurable interest is essential. That means life insurance, who is the nominee? Basically the one who has the, you can say, insurable interest. So in case of a husband, the basically the nominee is the wife, and in case of a, you can say, husband wife. Okay, then dependents will be there, like dependents may have to be there. Okay, अगर dependents है तो वो उनका भी insurable interest रहता है, because they are one who are basically you can say they are being dependent for the person for the income or that purpose. So they have an insurable interest. अगर कुछ loss होता है, so they are the one who are being impacted. So that is why we say whenever there is an insurance, there should be an insurable contract. That means the person who is being there in the party, जो भी nominee है या जो भी person उसमें involved है, उसका insurable interest होना चाहिए. Otherwise भी it will be of no loss. Then utmost good faith, this is the one thing. Then indemnity, that means you basically indemnify. So these are various types of the, you can say, the features of any insurance contract. Okay. So I'll explain this in my next lecture. So is it clear? So we'll meet in our next lecture, then I'll explain further. Okay. Okay, everyone. Goodbye. Have a nice day.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.